Hey, it's Dexter from Tier 1 People here. I want to say a big thanks to all of you who've been giving me, some great feedback on the content I've been putting out on LinkedIn recently. And I thought what might be a great idea is to perhaps every week share with you Dexter's rant and give you a weekly roundup of the things that I'm seeing across talent, leadership, and fintech. So in this first episode, I want to cover a few key areas that you might already be sick to death of. First up, I want to talk about the hype around AI and the fact that it might replace people's jobs. Now, I've seen a lot of people on LinkedIn who said that AI isn't going to replace people in jobs, but is just going to free them up to do more creative work. I think I've got to call complete bullshit on this premise. First of all, AI is replacing people in jobs. And I've used it in my own business and continue to use it with great effect. But the reality is that what we're seeing now are businesses that are being built AI first. And nowhere we're seeing this than in fintech, where we're now seeing businesses and startups out of necessity building fintech solutions with 25 people and competing against corporates with thousands of people. Now, I don't know about you, but all I can imagine is when shareholders of large corporates figure this out, the first thing they're going to ask the CEO isn't, hey, how do we hire more people to overcome this threat? But how do we use AI to cut costs and strip people out of the business? These are the harsh realities of corporate life. They're the harsh realities of capitalism. And we're seeing this happen right now. So what I would say to you is when it comes to AI, don't believe the hype, but please pay attention to the signals. Now, there is a very clear signal that I'm getting from fintech executives in 2025. I was in Sydney recently, and over 2 days, I actually caught up and met with 10 CEOs, as well as bumped into another 20 plus executives over the course of 2 days, just walking up and down Pitt Street and George Street. The message from them was clear. They'd been back at work since January the 6th, and they were all in the office full-time, ready for what they either felt was going to be an outstanding year or a year full of challenge. One thing, it isn't going to be steady, and it's not going to be like 2022, 2023, or 2024. And it looks, folks, like this could be an unprecedented year. What I've also seen as a key signal from executives is their shift in focus on hiring. The war for talent is over, and we are now moving into the battle for leadership. Businesses and leaders are shifting from hiring people based on skills and talent, particularly engineering and technical people, and focusing on hiring people with leadership capabilities as well as the skills. The great thing about this move is that it actually opens up a much broader scope of candidates, and it solves for the diversity problem. You see leaders wherever you are. They can be any age, any gender, any ethnicity. They're the people who stay calm even when shit around them turns to chaos. They're the people who their team or classmates nominate as MVP consistently. They're the people who work their butt off, get to the office every day, whilst everybody else is clocking off early. They're the people who make stuff happen and are always full of pleasant surprises. They're the people who make others feel good and others aspire to be just like them. We get the opportunity to be leaders every day. Leadership is a way of life. It's not a title. It's not even managing a team. It's setting a standard that others want to live up to. And as the competition in business gets tougher and the businesses naturally become smaller, as technology really comes to the fore, we're seeing a much stronger emphasis on leadership capabilities, as it's felt that every single hire has to be a leader of one. Now, if you're interested in proving your leadership capability or that of your team this year, check out my recent podcast with Paul Roos, the ex-Sydney Swans coach, who is now CEO and founder of Performance by Design. Roosy has created and taken his framework that turned the Swans, won them their first title in 72 years, and applied that to a startup environment. What it means is you can start to develop your own leadership capability and that of your teams with very little cost. It just takes time and effort. If you want to check out that episode, there'll be a link in the comments. Now, finally, for my top tip of the week. I've been getting inundated with resumes and LinkedIn requests from executives whose claim is that they've got 30 years banking or insurance or whatever industry experience. Let me make this very clear. The next 20 to 30 years is going to look very, very different to the past 20 to 30 years, which means your 30 years industry experience is kind of irrelevant. So instead of years experience, try focusing on the big problems that you solve and make sure those problems are relevant to the audience. For example, every fintech needs to raise capital. So if you've got experience of this, instead of 30 years banking experience, try something along the lines of raised $3 billion in capital over 20 plus deals in debt and equity. Every industry needs to raise capital. Therefore, taking this approach opens up your experience to other industries outside of banking. Just one simple change can make all the difference. If you like today's little rant and you want more of them, send me a message on LinkedIn or leave a message in the comments. And if you're listening on podcasts, make sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Until next week, take care.